Hello, everyone. I am so excited to be with you today. I am excited because we're going to dive into what I call the builder's journey. The last time we were together, I did an overview of what the builder's journey is, and I'm super excited that we can dive in now and we can talk about it. If you haven't seen the overview, you may want to go back and start there. Today, we're going to begin with the first stage of the builder's journey. So I have some notes here, so I'm going to be scanning it. I'm not going to be doing, so I don't want any YouTube police telling me that my eyes are not looking directly straight into the camera, because guess what? It won't be, because I'm going to be reading some notes as I go over this with you. So here's where I want to begin with you. I believe that every business wants growth. But real growth doesn't start on the surface. It actually starts beneath. And that's what we're going to deal with in this first stage of the builder's journey, the soil stage, right? The foundational stage. You see, you may be trying to plant strategies, scale fast, or execute like the experts. But if you haven't done some internal work, you're going to struggle to grow anything that's going to be sustainable. And that's what the soil stage is really about. It's about the internal preparation that is needed as you begin the journey of entrepreneurship, because it is quite a journey. It is a taxing journey. And I want to be clear up front. Though we talk about the internal preparation that is needed, it doesn't mean that during the soil stage that you sit in self-reflection forever. It doesn't mean that you're going to heal every wound. It doesn't mean you're going to overcome every mindset before you're able to really move forward. But it does mean that some of that internal work does have to be done, or else what you're going to build later won't be strong enough to sustain all that you're carrying, right? And I've seen this in clients, and honestly, I've lived it in my own life, all right? So I am a witness of what I am talking about. And there are things that I see that I delayed, that I hesitated on, that I second guessed for years. And that was largely because I just didn't know what to do, because of fear and procrastination and uncertainty and insecurities. I'm telling you, even this very YouTube channel that I've started and in speaking with you, it has been on my mind literally for years. But I was always I was always thinking to myself, I don't really like the way that I look on camera. I don't know if I'm going to do this. And all of these insecurities that stopped me from making progress and stopped me from just stepping out and just doing the thing. Now, during this soil stage or the internal preparation stage, there's a number of questions, a few questions that you want to ask yourself. One of them is, why are you building? What's your motivation? What is driving you to do this, right? Are you trying to prove something? Or are you building from truly having a sense of purpose? Because there are many people that, because of our insecurities, and guess what? We all have them. It doesn't matter who you are. But because of our insecurities, because of the limiting beliefs or whatever, the identity issues, whatever that is that we're working through, sometimes we do things in order so that we can validate ourselves, so that we can prove that we're somebody, so that we can prove, that all of the things that they said were not right. And while that can be a motivation, it shouldn't be the primary motivation. So in this internal preparation stage, you're really trying to get clear on, why am I doing this? What is really driving me? If your why is unclear, or if perhaps it's rooted in fear or survival or maybe even comparisons, then no matter how great your strategy is as you begin to build, you're always going to feel stuck or burnt out, because your reasonings, your motivations isn't coming from the purest place. It's coming from a desire to maybe prove something, as I said before. And so it's very important that we get clear on what is our motivation for doing the things that we find ourselves doing in life, even in business. Now, many entrepreneurs skip the soil stage. And the reason they skip the soil stage is because it's not really a comfortable stage, right? It's not something that naturally we're just like, yay, I want to do this internal work. I want to do this work of introspection. And so they can find themselves jumping straight into content calendars and funnels and systems and sales and all of the things on the outside, and it can look like you're gaining momentum, right? Because you have all of these external things that you're doing, but inside there's confusion. I've seen people pouring time and money and energies into branding that looks great, but guess what? It doesn't reflect even who they are. They start copying voices they admire or following models that work but aren't working for them, and aren't working for them specifically in the season of business that they're in. And that's what happens when you build without first doing that internal work or owning your voice or defining your values. And that's some of the things you do in this soil stage. Who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up in this business? What is really important to me? What are my values that I want to really make sure that the business is exemplifying, or that the business becomes an extension of? Let's talk identity. If you don't know who you are and who you're not, you'll morph into whatever you think will sell. You see, if you don't know who you are and who you're not, you're going to morph into everything and whatever thing you think is going to sell. You'll create offers that you don't really love. You'll say yes to things that really are draining to you. You'll keep tweaking your brand to chase approval. And the deeper danger, you'll build success that doesn't even feel like yours. And that's why this mindset matters. And when we think about this internal preparation, we're really talking about making sure that our mindset is right. Your beliefs about success, money, and self-worth are shaping your decisions, whether you realize it or not. So what do you do in this stage? Well, you clarify your why and what drives you beyond just income. You get honest about what fears are still driving the bus, right? What are those fears that are still in control of me? You identifying limiting beliefs that keeps you hesitating, shrinking, or overthinking. You define your values, not just for a website, but to guide your decisions. And you reclaim your voice and start detaching from the comparison trap. These things are so important. And as I said, it's not like you necessarily finalize all of them in this first stage, but beginning the work is exceedingly important. And especially when it comes to your fears and your limiting beliefs, it's not that you've gotten rid of all of them, but just the consciousness that they're present allows you, as you begin to build in light of that, and to put in safeguards and to put in contingency plans of what you're going to do when those fears and those limiting beliefs rear their heads, because they will rear their heads. What we really want, I should say, in this soil stage is we want awareness. We want awareness of what's going on inside of us as well. And sometimes in this stage, it's going to mean also trying to get some healing, whether that's through prayer, whether that's through therapists, whether that's through mentorship, whatever that is. But it's a moment to pause a little bit long enough so that you can reflect and get clear on what's really living inside of you. So how do you know then that you're in the soil stage? You may feel stuck, but you realize that, it's not that I'm lazy, but I'm just feeling a little stuck right now. You're working hard, but you're not really feeling like you're progressing. Things feel like it's a little bit muddy, or you're uncertain about your niche, your direction, your voice. You find yourself almost like a shift changer, right? Like you're one of those transformer characters. You're always transforming to fit what other people say. Maybe you sit down, right, and you have an idea about what you're trying to do with your business. Then you talk to someone else and you're like, oh, maybe they're right. And maybe that's what I need to do. So you start going in that direction. Then you start to talk to person B, and then they tell you something else. And then you're like, oh, maybe it's not what person A says. Maybe it's what person B says. And you just find yourself just all over the place. You have these false starts. Or if you've built something before, you're realizing this time you want to do it in a very different way. That's the soil, that's the foundation work that is calling for you and I to do. So what changes when you do this soil work, this internal preparation work? What changes? When you do even some of this inner work, not even all of it, but just some of it, you will see that things begin to shift. You'll stop over identifying with results. You make decisions faster because you're clearer about your negotiables and what's non-negotiable. You stop needing everyone to get it because you get it, right? You feel more grounded and more clear. If I had to put it in simpler terms, you feel more like you and not like someone else. So let me go Bible for a moment here, especially for those who are faith-based. There's that story in the Bible about David and Goliath when he was going to kill that big giant. And in the story, you see that King Saul, who was king at the time, gave to David his armor, right? Because David was a wee little lad and David was going up against this giant with a slingshot. There's a message in that that we'll come back to at another time. But David was going up against Goliath with this slingshot. And Saul was like, no, you need this armor. You need to wear this and all of these things. And so David puts on Saul's armor. But as David puts on Saul's armor, he begins to say, you know what? This doesn't even make me feel like myself. There's something messed up with me wearing this armor. And so David takes off that armor and he said, no, I want to go just as I am. That's someone else's armor. That's something that works for someone else, but it's not something that works for me. It's not me. And when you do the inner work, you no longer feel the need to put on other people's armor. You no longer feel the need to show up in ways that's not you, because you now know who you are, right? You don't have to transform and change based on circumstances and based on different people. And that's where business really begins to flow. It's not about hustle and it's not about hype. You're now moving forward with rootedness as well as intention. So here's something that I want you to reflect on this week. It's a question that I want you to sit on and to really think about it. And that is this: what fear or belief might be silently shaping how you're building? What fear or belief might be silently shaping how you are building? Now, I don't want you to judge it. I just want you to notice it. I want you to be aware of it. And that awareness alone can begin to shift things. That awareness alone can begin to allow you to begin to change the way that you move forward. Now, as I said earlier, this soil stage, this internal preparation stage, it's the thing that naturally we want to run away from. It's not the flashy thing, right? It's not the thing that you're going to post on Instagram, right? But trust me, this is the most meaningful work that you can begin to do for yourself and for your business. You're laying the groundwork for everything that comes next. If you want to go deeper, the free Builder's Blueprint gives you the prompts and an overview of all the 6 stages, and it helps you to begin to do that work, that internal work, to really prepare you for that journey of entrepreneurship that's ahead. And if you've already started the journey, that's cool. It's not too late to do that internal work. It's not too late to make sure that the soil is behaving as it needs to. Because if any of you are into gardening, and I've been doing some gardening this season, you realize that even before you plant the seed, that preparation of the soil is exceedingly important. But you don't just prepare the soil one time and that's it. You're always testing the soil. You're always making sure that it has the nutrients that it needs. And then you're making the amendments for whatever is missing. So this is not like a one and done thing. This is a continuous process that you're entering into as you do this internal work. You don't have to do all the work at once. Let me say that again. You don't have to do all the work at once, but you do have to do enough of it to move forward with clarity. Because what you plant now, you're going to harvest or reap later. So you want to make sure that you're planting good things in good soil so that you can really have an abundant harvest. Again, remember to download the free Builder's Blueprint. You'll find it in the description in the video below. And the next time when we come together, our next video, we're going to dive into stage 2, which is the seed. Stage 2, which is the seed. So Again, grab the blueprint, make sure that you're reading it and getting familiar with it, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.